Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Shawn Lovejoy, the founder and CEO of CourageToLead, a coaching organization that equips CEOs, business leaders, and ministry teams with the tools and mindset to grow healthier organizations while sustaining personal and professional alignment. With a powerful background as a real estate developer and executive coach, Shawn has spent decades helping leaders develop courage, clarity, and culture. Shawn, welcome to Founders Future.
Ammar, great to be with you guys.
I am excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Courage to Lead. What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
So I grew up in a rural family interstate real estate empire in Alabama. You can tell I talk slow, Ammar. But my dad was probably the largest landowner in the entire county. He'd done real estate development for 50 years. It's all I ever wanted to do. But I realized I was wired differently from here from an early age. I'm really good at systems. I love spreadsheets. I eat them for breakfast, Ammar. And I realized I was different. And I was a visionary. I could do that part. I could sell, but I love the systems part of things. And I realized early on, I grasped some skills that people around me didn't grasp. They were good at the sales part,
Mm,
but they didn't know how to structure and scale a business with healthy systems.
yeah,
And that's really how I stumbled into realizing that I have the capacity and skill to not only grow my own thing, but I can help other people grow theirs, maybe more effectively.
I love that. That's powerful. So you knew that from an early process or from an early age is that, hey, if I love these systems, I can help other people do that. Was there a realization in your life where you realized, oh, I don't need to just do this for myself. I could help other people do that?
Yeah. So you're not prepared for this part of the story, Ammar. But I was a real estate developer, felt God called me into ministry. You mentioned it in my profile. Went off to seminary. I've got a master's degree in theology.
Mm,
Started a church in my living room.
wow.
It became a mega church within 3 years.
No way.
And I felt like I was crushing it. But I'm lying in bed one night with my wife, feeling pretty good about myself. And I say, babe, how do you think things are going? I've been married 7 years at the time. And I expected her to say, "Oh my God, it's an honor to be married to you. You're amazing," or something like that. You're fishing for a compliment. When you
Yeah,
come out of the closet and say, "Honey, how do I look?" You don't want the truth. And
yeah.
that was the truth. And she said, "You really want to know how I think things are going?" And she said, "I think you've allowed this church to turn you into a workaholic." And she said, "I'm not leaving, but I'm not happy."
Mm,
And that was the night I realized that there's a difference between growing and scaling. And we were growing like crazy.
yeah.
But there's a difference between growing and scaling. And not only does the difference determine whether you stay sane, centered, and married, which is I'm passionate about, while you grow whatever it is you grow, but it makes a more equitable organization. It handles the succession crisis. Everything about it. And so there's an old verse in the Old Testament of the Bible says, "What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul?" And a lot of business owners we work with, like they own a business, but they're losing their soul. The
Yeah,
business owns them
yeah.
because they're stuck in the middle of it. So I'm passionate about helping guys not only scale their businesses, but stay whole in the process. And they go hand in hand. If it can work without you being front and center of it, it leads to a higher quality of life. So our coaching is a quality of life as well as a quantity type offer. And make a long
Mm,
story short, my coaching organization grew so much that 11 years ago, I made a prayerful decision to hand off my mega church and go all into my coaching business.
wow.
And since then, we've coached businesses as large as 9 billion in revenue.
Wow.
We have multiple clients that are over 1 billion in revenue now. It's amazing. It's been a wild ride, my friend. See, you weren't prepared for that.
No, definitely was not. But thank you so much for sharing that because it gives us an inside glimpse into your decision-making process. And I think there's always lessons to be garnered when you understand how somebody personally makes decisions in their life. Let's fast forward to give the listeners more context into Courage to Lead. Who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, what are the different offers and services you provide?
Sure. Our particular offer is a little bit different. We've learned over time, we don't best serve the solopreneur who has never been able to get to seven figures, can't build a team. It's
Yeah.
still a one man, one woman show. If they've shown some propensity to earn an income and hired a few full time team members, we can help them turn their staff into what we call a killer team. A staff won't make you money. It'll decrease margin and increase frustration, but a team
Yeah.
can actually increase margin, decrease frustration, allow you to scale, get you out of the weeds, all of that. So it's really an HR type coaching offer that we offer for teams.
Okay. Powerful. How long does that typically take in terms of client engagement?
We started as a boutique coaching firm, only offering one-on-one coaching. It was just me. Now we have 17 coaches
Wow.
in I think 13 different states across the United States. But we realized we've coached a ton of 7, 8, 9 figure businesses over the last 2 decades.
Mm.
But a few years ago, we launched what we now call Killer Team University
Okay.
for small business owners, because we realized we were leaving a lot of guys in that
Mm.
early 7 figure loop. We may not be able to coach them one-on-one to start with, but we didn't want to leave them in the dust.
Yeah.
So now we have a group coaching offer that's allowed us to scale more rapidly here at Courage to Lead. I'm 54. I don't want to be on a plane as much as I used to be,
Yeah.
Ammar.
Okay.
So I get to do this from home in my studio more often and coach guys, and I love it.
That's powerful. I would love to shift to the back end of the business because obviously 17 coaches in 13 different states, that's rapid growth, and you need to be able to bring in new business. So when it comes to acquisition of customers and lead generation, what does that process look like currently for Courage to Lead?
Yeah. Cole and the team at Closers helped us, and you didn't pay me for that promo, helped us really notch down on our offer and
Awesome.
niche it and get clearer, and helped us build Killer Team University so that we could scale an online coaching program. And that became our primary funnel. Honestly, when I first met Cole Gordon, he was shocked that we'd been able to make it a decade without paid ads
Yeah.
and had scaled to 7 figures. It was just word of mouth and referral, and built
Wow.
an email list and a bunch of free lead magnets and organic social and all that. We had never run paid media.
Wow.
And we finally turned on paid media, but we realized with cold traffic, it's just a completely different kind of customer. They don't know me. They haven't seen me speak at a live event. I've spoken in 46 states. I've written 4 books. They don't know any of that about me. So there's a lot of hard work to do to build rapport with them, to warm up the lead, to get them on a call, close them. So we've had to get better at our craft in that regard.
Yeah. So what did that sales process look like for you when you first experienced the difficulties with cold traffic? Because it is very different than referrals, word of
Very
mouth.
different.
They know you,
Yeah,
high,
it's very
high
different.
like no trust factor. So what was that learning curve like? And do you currently have a sales team? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I call it getting over yourself. You guys hear this all the time. Like, you had to be comfortable. I still hate listening to myself with my southern drawl. I hate looking at myself on camera. We all do, I think.
Oh, 1,000%.
You're a great looking guy. You probably don't struggle with that, Ammar, but
I
most
hate it, trust me.
most humans do. So I call it getting over yourself. You have to get over yourself. You have to get in front of a webcam, because I really feel like, especially cold traffic, eye contact and your human personality and it not being perfect
Yeah.
connects with people. And I hated my southern drawl, but it actually helps me to develop rapport with people a little bit more rapidly, especially small business owners who are just struggling, wrestling, whatever. They're not intimidated by me. So we realized we had to get in front of the camera more consistently, more intentionally, more systemically. We had to really work on writing copy, getting
Mm,
better at writing copy, and being more disciplined. Honestly, we posted content, but it was not in a disciplined, intentional, systematic way. And we've just gotten laser focused on that in terms of a development plan. Because I've also learned, when they click on an ad, they usually don't book a call right away. They're stalking you on the World Wide Web. And so if you're not putting out content and it's not solid,
Yeah.
then you're losing a lot of people there as well. So those are two big adjustments we've had to make that are as much mindset as anything else.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was actually my last podcast, I referenced this Google study that they came out with, and it said that on average, taking a stranger to a client, on average, they consume about 7 hours of content.
Yeah.
And most people don't even have 30 minutes of content out there that people can
Yeah.
actually consume. So a big part of it is just give them the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And YouTube is probably the easiest way. Is that the channel, or is that the what you leverage when it comes to posting your content?
We're everywhere, my friend. Honestly, our ideal client is probably on LinkedIn
Yeah.
more than anything else. So we've been on LinkedIn a lot. I call it the Wild West of social media.
Yeah.
There's just so much uncharted territory there. But of
Mm,
course, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram,
awesome.
etc.
Yeah. If you were thinking about your ideal client that comes into Killer Team University, what do you find that typically they're struggling with that makes them want to be your client?
Yeah. So this is the paradigm we coach around behind me. I can trace every tension and opportunity in a company back to three things. I call them the three irreducible minimums.
Mm,
It's the culture, it's the team, and it's the systems. When one of those lags, they're separate but interdependent gears. When one of those lags, and what I've learned in coaching businesses for 20 years is that most business leaders, they're brilliant at one of the three.
mm,
Either they light up a room, they're a
yeah.
visionary, big personality, and so they're a recruiter, and so the team is really strong, or they're a good culture builder, they're a shepherd, they invest deep into people, so there's a healthy culture there, or they're brilliant at systems. But
Mm,
you get stuck at the point of your weak spot, your blind spot. So the founder of Uber got run out of his own company because the culture got unhealthy.
mm,
Or you can outgrow your team, or you can
yeah.
outgrow your systems. And most guys have a superpower in terms of sales or tech or manufacturing, whatever it might be, contracting, but they've never had a formal class on how to hire somebody,
Yeah.
how to fire somebody, how to lead a meeting. Most people have never had 1 hour of training
Yeah.
on how to lead an effective meeting that people look forward to and where stuff gets done and people are held accountable for results. Very few people know how to do that. And that's just one example of how we come alongside guys and help them with skills that aren't as innate with them.
Yeah. That's powerful. What's interesting is that when I see team and when I see culture, I would have thought that they would be the same thing. So how do you explain
Yeah.
to us kind of the differences and what that looks like?
Yeah. So team is about right people, right seats, right structure. Most business owners we work with think they're one or two hires away from explosive growth. My observation is they're one or two fires away first.
Mm, interesting.
They've got underperformers, they've got misbehaviors, and they don't deal with it.
Yeah.
So I named our company Courage to Lead. It takes courage to lead. So usually we help a business owner. It's usually within the first 15 minutes, they bring up the guy's name.
Yeah.
And everyone knows deep down, he's the guy. He's the
Yeah.
guy. He's the cancer. So we got to remove the cancer first. And just because you have a lot of staff doesn't mean you have a team, doesn't mean you have alignment. So we
Mm,
work a lot on alignment
yeah.
in the team phase. Whereas culture is more about what I taste, what I feel, the vision, the values, the clarity around that, the healthy relationships, how we handle conflict, which is inevitable. We like to say conflict is inevitable, drama is a choice. And a
Yeah.
lot of teams we work with, the opposite of conflict is not peace, it's artificial harmony.
Mm,
A lot of teams we work with, they're walking on eggshells around each
yeah.
other. No one's really saying what they're thinking, and that will make a culture toxic.
Yeah. 100%. Have you ever heard of, I'm sure you've heard of this, Patrick Lencioni's Five Dysfunctions
Yeah.
of.
Yeah. I know him. I've spoken with him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that because I'm a big fan of that book. And I think trust is the base. And then if we have lack of trust, there's avoidance of conflict. which is exactly what you're talking about, and then lack of buy-in and all of these different things. When it comes to, let's say I'm a business owner and I realize that my staff are scared to push back against my ideas, how does somebody fix that problem in their culture?
One, we like to normalize language around it. We call it the last 10% culture. Most people say 90% of what they're thinking and they hold back the last 10%. We want to help you build a last 10% culture where the real stuff gets out on the table.
Yeah.
So first, you have to create a safe environment for that. If I'm defensive, if I'm unapproachable, if I want to defend what's not working, then I'm going to shut down the last 10%. So I have to mind for it. So if I'm not getting that from my team, it's probably because I haven't asked for it or I've been defensive when it's been shared. So most business owners need to go in and just apologize to their team and say,
Mm,
hey, I owe you guys an apology. I call that backside credibility because they already know you've been a jackass. So you need to tell them, I don't think I've allowed an environment where you guys can really tell me what you're thinking and you can
yeah.
push back on me and challenge my blind spots, all of that. So I'm asking you guys to hold me accountable. I call that falling on the sword. The leader
Mm,
needs to go first. We love to give the last 10%, but I think truly getting all the honesty on the table begins by asking for that
mm,
last 10% and normalizing that environment. And then it gives us the permission to give it back and really lean into people and sharpen them as well.
yeah, that's powerful. And I see that I've personally witnessed this from my friends that have businesses where they want to create that environment, but then as soon as somebody speaks out, they get all mad. And then it's
And
like,
they
bro,
don't realize it. So we tell guys, Ammar, let's just repeat after me. Thank you for coming to me
yeah.
because I'm disagreeing with you in my head right now. I'm defending myself. It's human nature. I'm trying to defend my reaction, my decision, my way of doing it, whatever. Thank you for, because that's a win in our culture that you came to me, not someone else. You
Yeah,
came to me. So thank you for coming to me.
oh, you're back.
Hey, so hopefully there'll be a cut. So I tell business owners, like, thank you for coming to me. Let me process that and let me circle back with you.
Yeah.
And then actually circle back with them, put it on the calendar, and you'll build a culture where that, wow, I didn't get fired. There's no
Yeah.
repercussion for me honestly sharing that. And many times I don't realize, I tell my team members, Ammar, it's not if I'm going to hurt your feelings, it's when and how often. And I won't know it. So just tell me about my blind spots. And I want to say, thank you for sharing that with me. You're helping me get better.
I love that. And I think the more you probably have experienced this and seen this happen in a lot of companies, when you give people the space to do that, they will come up with brilliant ideas. Because I've been on the other side of that where I've been an employee and I want to make certain changes and I want to improve the processes. But when I feel like I can't speak up, I'm not going to say anything. But
Exactly.
you,
And it endears the team to you.
mm,
And my observation is people don't want to make all the decisions.
yeah,
They just want the value of being heard. They just want to know they've been heard. And so if I can be a listener and be an approachable leader, be coachable myself, then it gives me a lot of permission to lean into them and sharpen them because they've got some blind spots too. They don't have it all figured out either, but I want to lead by being that way and posturing myself with my team.
I
And
love
they'll
that.
take a bullet for you. They'll take
Yeah,
a bullet for you when you build that kind of trust on a team.
that's huge. You mentioned something earlier on in the podcast, which is growth and scale being two different things. Can you dive into that a little bit more and what your philosophy is there?
Yeah. So, we enter the grind phase of the business usually, and it's necessary, it's beneficial in hopes that we'll get to the fruit phase, I call it, where it
Mm,
tastes good. It's the harvest. We want all of that. But we think that to bridge that gap, we just hire more staff.
yeah,
That'll give us more margin, less frustration. When in reality, it actually decreases margin and it increases frustration. That's my observation, having coached guys for 20 years. It's not, you don't need more staff. You
yeah,
need the right staff. You need a set of core values. You need a determined behaviors. There's a code we live by. that's a filter for hiring and firing and who gets to stay and who leaves and who gets on the team, et cetera, and processes, systems, no personality dependent corners of the business. I like to say that people don't come to McDonald's to work there and say, you know what, this is the way I made burgers at my last place. I'd like to do it my own way. Or no one says at Starbucks, hey, I owned a coffee shop. I've got a different way of doing coffee. No. And they may not have the best burger or the best coffee. It's just consistent. So you got to, part of the difference between growing and scaling is rooting out the personality driven corners of the business, starting with me. Yeah. If it's only propped on my human personality and goes to hell in a handbasket when I go on vacation, that's a problem. I've got a personality driven business. So I've got to work on not allowing that to happen and documenting my expectations, clarity and accountability. Clarity and accountability. I like to say 90% of our staff frustrations are 100% our fault. We want to hold everybody accountable, but we haven't provided the prerequisite of accountability, which is clarity.
Yes.
Haven't documented behaviors, norms, processes, expectations, goals, clear performance reviews that are consistent, one-on-one meetings where we're giving feedback. So we want to hold everybody accountable, but we've not held everybody to the standard of clarity that we need to.
100%. If they don't know what's expected of them, how can you expect them to do it? It makes no sense.
We're almost never as clear as we think we are.
100%. I love that. If you were talking to new entrepreneurs that are starting in 2025, when I talk to new founders, they always express macroeconomic concerns, all this changing stuff happening, World War III. They're concerned with all this stuff. If you could give them some pieces of wisdom, because you've been around for a long time and you've experienced financial downturns in your life. So what would you tell somebody that's concerned with everything going on right now?
This will surprise you as well. Probably the most controversial thing I'll say. Stop watching the news. It's all bad news. And it's laced 99% with stuff you can't control. And I'm a person of faith, as you know by now. I don't think we're spiritually responsible to the man upstairs for what we can't control. So we are totally not focused on external factors at Courage to Lead. We are not worried about the economy. We're not worried about wars. We're not worried about interest rates. We are focused on what we can control because we are 100% responsible for what we can control. So we have stayed focused over time rather than being a victim, blaming external forces. I jump on calls of Ammar every day and business owners are still blaming COVID. I'm like, that was half a decade ago. You can't blame COVID forever. Okay. That's like in today's world, that's 30 years ago. You know, it was a half a decade ago. Stop blaming COVID and take responsibility and get better. And then when the economy does turn and external factors are easier, it's upside down right now. There are a lot of uncertainty out there. So it's a great time to work on me and on the business. Because when you're growing like crazy, it's really hard to slow down and work on you in the business. So the slow times actually give you an opportunity to work on you and work on the business. And then when the economy turns around, it's more favorable external factors. Wow, because you're prepared for it. And that's how we kind of position in companies to stop worrying about all the external factors and go.
Yeah, I love that so much. What's the best piece of advice you've received, heard, or read around scaling your coaching company?
You can tell I'm a simple person, Ammar. I think the most important system in a company is the founder's calendar. As time is a more precious commodity than money.
Yeah.
So how I invest my time is going to be the most important investment. So most of the time when we audit business owners' calendar, 99% of their time and energy and conversation is maintenance-oriented activity.
Yeah.
Putting out fires, reacting, maintenance, BS. So if we can audit your calendar, get your time and your energy focused on growth-oriented activities, work on you first, then work on the business instead of in the business. And it's amazing how it begins to click, it begins to happen. You know,
Yeah.
that knowledge is inside of us. We just don't have the discipline, the intentionality, the accountability sometimes we're able to provide for guys to help them focus on themselves first and master themselves. And then it's amazing how the business takes off.
I love that. I love that. What is success? Do you have to run in 1 minute?
I'm okay.
Okay. Now at this stage of your career, obviously you've had a lot of success. So when you think of the future, what does success now look like for you moving forward, personally and professionally?
I'm so glad you asked. My first book's called Measuring Success. And I define success in that book as being respected and admired by those closest to me.
Mm,
And I told you about my wife calling me on the carpet, year 7 of our marriage. We turned around our lives, my friend,
mm,
and we set some guardrails, some guidelines for our lives. We made a covenant. I made a 14-point covenant with my wife that I've kept to her for 25 years with simple things like I will never walk in the door at the end of the day still on my cell phone.
yeah.
I promised her that 25 years ago. And I've
Wow.
never walked in the door at the end of the day still on my cell phone. Now, sometimes I have to circle the neighborhood a couple of times before I get off, whatever. But when I'm home, I'm fully where my feet are. And then this year, my 27-year-old daughter, no, last year, my 27-year-old daughter joined my team.
Awesome.
She felt safe enough by watching and observing my life
Mm,
and my pace and my rhythm and the fact that I'm not married to my business.
yeah.
I don't love my business more than my family. I don't talk about my business all the time. When I'm working, nobody out hustles me, nobody outworks me, but
Mm,
I've got boundaries. And
mm,
she felt safe enough to step into that environment. And I recruited her away from a great organization to work for me. And we work great together because there are times when I'm her boss and there are times when I'm just her dad. And we know how to turn that on and off. So at the end of the day, if you finish with a team, you'll finish with your family. Everyone else will come and go. I'm 54 years old. I know this.
yeah. I
If you
love that.
finish with a team, you finish with your family. So
Mm,
don't marry your company.
yeah.
It's not worth it. Marry your spouse and your
Yeah.
children and play the infinite game.
I love
And if you're respected and admired by your family and your team, even when things aren't going well externally, I feel very successful.
mm,
I feel very successful
yeah.
because I have the admiration and respect of those closest to me.
I
So
love that.
hope
I
that
had to
helps.
write that down. Yeah, that's super helpful. How can people get your book? What's the best way?
ShawnLovejoy.com, my name, ShawnLovejoy, ShawnLovejoy.com is my personal website. And then Courage to Lead, of course, our company website, CourageToLead, spelled out.com.
Awesome. Shawn, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, my friend.
I appreciate that. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to go to ShawnLovejoy.com, grab his book, and go to CourageToLead.com. That way you can see what it's like to work with him and his team even further. And if you are a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.